This is a second video, and I suppose I started off really. I wanted to talk about why Pratap, Bhanu, Mehta had screwed up, and very briefly, the answer is that you say Mehta didn't actually go to a school in England or in America, and but he kind of leapfrogged into Oxford without the traditional paideia. The paideia, that means the system of education, which was compulsory. It was what filtered people into Oxford. Now, the British paideia, I know a little bit about it because, as I explained in my last video, I went to a type of a school where they're very keen to get you into Oxbridge. So, for example, so when I turned up, I was 14, and my dad had been posted to London, and we didn't want to spend one single penny on education because it's free in Britain, you know, until the age of 16 or 18 or what, so long as you're at school, it's free. And I remember Tunku Vardarajan, the elder brother of Siddharth Vardarajan, he wanted to go to public school, Dulwich public school, and he did because his mother insisted. But his father was an IAS officer from UP Kedar, UP Kedar. Corrupt as hell. I didn't say that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, UP Kedar. Sanjay Pratap Singh, whose father was in the UP Kedar, and of course he's the IAS officer who's been convicted of corruption. Sanjay Pratap Singh said, "Oh my God, Vardarajan, he turned his nose up. He's terribly corrupt." But people like the Raskotra, Maharaj Krishna Raskotra, and so on, they would snub Vardarajan. What was his name? Muthuswamy Vardarajan. Though Vardarajan seemed a very elegant, well, not elegant, but impressive person, and he married a Muslim lady, and he was head of the Minorities Commission, and but people felt he was too corrupt. You know, I don't know the details, but that was, maybe a factor that Siddharth Rajan is a communist, and his brother. I remember, seeing the young Siddharth, who's very tall, well built, is a good, handsome chap. Brother was also smart, and the brother would call the elder brother would call his Thambi. He would say, "Oh, you prole. Oh, you oik, oik." Public school terminology. Oik, oik means that, you're working class. But they, still, they were Tamil, good people from Tamil Nadu. And brother and elder brother and younger brother don't fight. And that's good. That's really what it's about, family values. And now I want to talk about caste. You see, we don't, you and me, we really don't know anything about what happened, 1,000 years ago when there was caste system of occupations and so on. We don't know. Our parents don't know. Our grandparents don't know. Otherwise, we wouldn't be speaking English, you know. Let's be frank. But we do know that family is good. And we do know that when it comes to marriage, suddenly there is caste. Before it, there was no caste. After it, there is no caste. But at time of marriage, there is caste. And Pratap Bhanu Mehta, his dad was a VC, was a vice chancellor of Delhi University, and he comes from good family, Marwari, yes, but service, like many of us, typical middle class. So, what is caste? And why did Pratap Bhanu Mehta go so crazy about caste? Because if he hadn't gone crazy about caste, he could have stayed with as part of the establishment, and whether it's Congress or BJP or some new coalition, these guys will remain there because look at उनकी औकात आप देखें his father was not considered very corrupt. He was considered a good, good Jain Marwari background, decent. They have come in the service line. Service जो कि हम कहते हैं कि that means government service or whatever service, but that means, and they're Jain, you know, they're not. I mean, if they had been corrupt by now, their own people would have put it all over the, they would not remain in service. They would have gone somewhere else. And I don't think anybody says that Pratap, Bhanu, Mehta came back to India to make money. I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, just simply by being a Jain in America, I can tell you, and with his credentials, he's doing well. He's a good, decent chap. And don't worry about money coming to boost his career. That money is there. And I'm not talking about the type of scandal whereby sports coaches in America, they'd been corrupted by a former sports coach, and they'd get you into Harvard or into UCL or whatever by saying, "Oh, this little girl is a champion wrestler or a champion sailor or a champion water polo player." I'm not talking about that type of scam involving, sports. It is true. It is true that, if you're wealthy, you can always get a Oxford or Harvard or Princeton, not undergraduate, but postgraduate degree. And that's all you need. Because, see, you want to say, I went to Oxford, I went to Princeton, I went to Harvard, I went to here. But you do it, you get in on the postgraduate level, and then you do some bloody anti-Indian shit course, because they want some Hindus or Jains and so on to come through a course which basically says Hinduism is shit, Jainism is shit, Sikhism is shit, this religion is Islam is shit. Oh my God. If you want to be... That's how it all started. Edward Said, he was Christian, he was a Protestant, by the way. But he noticed these things, and I remember, of course, Edward Said, the author of Orientalism, which is a very famous book. Of course, the reason that he was promoted by the Americans was because Jimmy Carter wanted to have this deal between Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin, And Said was close to Yasser Arafat and, all that type of thing. So he had some salience. But he's a Protestant Christian, And I remember, asking in a rather naive manner. I remember asking a gentleman that my father had introduced me to, because my dad was very careful. He knew that in London, somebody like me, I didn't have any money. And I was, 16 when I entered LSE. And he knew, there are people that give you money. I was working. I mean, I was lucky. He got me. Actually, I asked my dad to get me a good job with Indian YMCA. I asked him, and he asked Mr. Roy Chaudhary. Mr. Roy Chaudhary saw me, and he knew that my sister was going to stay in the same hostel, so he gave me the job of night watchman. Why? Because a night watchman whose sister stays in the women's section, he will be very, very strict. And there will be no comeback, there will be no fighting. Why? For two reasons. Firstly, people will say the reason he is guarding women's section, he's only 17 years old. The reason he's guarding women's section like a dog is because his own sister stays there. And don't forget, look at his name, Vivek Iyer. Iyer क्या है? Iyer उन दिनों में मद्रासी, गरीब, Seth, not Agarwal, not Mehta, not, they are very poor people. So if reputation of lady section of Indian YMCA goes down and his sister staying there, okay, then it will harm her marriage. And my sister is actually very tall, very big. So there's actually no question because she can beat up anybody. But girls are girls. They fall in love. Sex is absolutely natural. And if my sister had wanted to marry, of course I'd have said, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. But my mother would have come and said, no, no, marry. Because mother and father did not believe in caste. Because Indians don't believe in caste. It doesn't actually exist. Caste just means insurance policy. It's an insurance policy. That's all it means. And if you're very stupid, then you believe in insurance policies, which are not a contract, which are not incentive compatible, which are not enforceable. And anyway, we are Brahmins. But the other reason, of course, that I was picked was that I was a president of the Indian Student Society of the London School of Economics. And LSE hostel is over here. So if 5 chaps want to beat me up, I can bring 50 chaps to beat them up and fuck them in the ass. I'm sorry to say that. But this is the type of language which is used when you're 17, 18 years old. And don't forget, if you cannot intimidate people, they're older than you, they're bigger than you, and you say, oh, fuck in the ass, you fuck. And they know, suddenly they know that you can do it. This is what happens. And if you're young and you're abused, you're sodomized, but you take a full revenge on a guy who's bloody 30 years old, he's a doctor, who is hurt more? The answer is he is hurt more because you're going to grow older. Your people are getting stronger and he is going down. That means his entire family is vulnerable. So this is the politics of terrorism. And it is the politics which used to operate on Indian, and it operates still, in Indian university campuses. Not on Ashoka's campus, not in the liberal arts or the private, you people have got complaints about food, about Wi-Fi, about this, about that, yeah. But you don't have complaints about threat of sodomy, of beating, that you're, as Professor Amaresh Mishra, he used to threaten people saying, police will come and rape your mother. Police will come and rape your mother. That was Congress Raj. That was Congress Raj. Secular Congress Raj. Whereas you don't have that under Modi, as far as I know. And, that's why Madrasis like me, Iyers, who are 100% Congress, always were Congress, and we loved Nehru, we loved Indira, because she kicked the ass of not just Pakistan, but of America. She kicked Nixon's ass. And we don't give a damn about air conditioning and, and so on, because we are actually Brahmins and we are actually really black. We are from the Indian subcontinent. Original Adivasi log hain hum. So we were all socialists and so forth. But one thing is that we have to look at our own Veda. That's one thing we have to do. And there is only one text. It is the Mahabharata, which is for the ordinary person who, is living abroad and so on, is not doing karma kanda every day. Only one text which can fully explicate what is the essence of the Veda. What is Brahmanism? And I don't say I'm Hindu. In fact, the old word was Brahmanism. That we would say we are Brahmins and ये हमारा धर्म है, वो तेरा धर्म है, and so on. But Vedvyas, he's a bloody marvelous man. He solved all these difficulties. But how did he do it? And the answer is he used something called game theory, statistical game theory. And, he created basically what is called a non-dissipative system, a narrative. It's a narrative, yeah, but it's basically a non-dissipative system which observes what is called Noether's theorem. Noether's theorem says that if you have a non-dissipative system and there is you see a symmetry property, if you see there is a symmetry property, then something is being conserved. There is a conservation law. And other people had noticed that in the Mahabharata there is a duality, that every episode has a dual, every character has a dual. And that's a very simple heuristic, that's a very simple rule to generate very complex symmetries. It's this is what is called a fractal, fractal complexity, right? So, because I went to the LSE, I was able to, not in the courses that I did, they were rubbish. And I didn't do the bloody courses. I just took the exams. And, I got a 2-2, which is fine, because nobody cared. But I did, because I was young, I would go up to people and say, tell me about this, tell me about that. And because I was earning money because I was I was working full time as, first I was the night watchman of Indian YMCA. So that gave me some status. Dilip Mukherjee, really smart guy. He comes up to the reception to get his whatever, or to say, oh yeah, I'm coming at 12 o'clock because I'm going to this or that. Yes, sir, I'm here, I'll open the door. And he sees that I do open the door. And all of these guys, they saw that I was there. I did a good job. I wasn't sleeping all the time, and I wasn't... I was very tough on people who want to go into the ladies or try to harass or anything like that, or bully. Boys, young boys, because there's a sodomy angle as well, homosexual angle. I'm against that. No, I'm not against homosexuals. I'm against bullying. I'm a big black bastard, Tamil bastard, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. If you are on the right side, if you help people, people said that I was very arrogant and all that. Yeah. Then they found out from girls said that from Bombay. They'd say, oh, you're arrogant. Yeah. But that's actually our culture. That's our culture. Because if people see me sweet talking a girl, of course I want to do it. I'm 17. Yeah. But if you're like this and people see that, then they say, take it. It's not one rule for him and one rule for rest of us. And anyway, anytime I was very abrasive and rude, and even I would, I had the keys. So I'd go into a guy's room at 2 o'clock in the morning, wake him up and say, fuck you, fuck you. And then he'd think about it. He'd think about it. And, that's how you diffuse the tension. Because next morning he'd talk to his mates and they'd say, who the fuck is this cunt? And they'd say, no, his sister stayed here. He's poor. He's an Iyer, Madrasi. And he's got a economic incentive to keep the reputation of YMCA high. Economic incentive. And what's more, he's got the means, which is he can bring in, we can beat him up now. But then he'll bring 50 people to beat us. It's force majeure. Because look at the LAC hostel. It's 10 times the size. Look at the UCL hostel behind us. It's 10 times the size. So that's the basis. This is pure game theory. And if in Mahabharata you find that Yudhishthira, he has to learn statistical game theory in the Nalopyana. In one episode, Nalopyanam, the story of Nala, he has to learn statistical game theory in order to overcome Vishad. But you see, Yudhishthira also has to, there are two things he has to learn. One is Nalopyanam, that's statistical game theory. The other thing is Vyada Gita. But what is Vyada Gita? Vyada Gita is the song of the butcher. Vyada means butcher. Ooh! Meat! How low caste! Oh, ये दलित की चीज है. होय 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 होय. ये शूद्रा शूद्रा शूद्रा. Yeah, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. You know, a lot of people from my background, even the word meat, they can feel vomit. You know, like my mother. Yeah, my dad was taking egg, omelette and like that. She could not even smell, I remember when I was 5 years old, what my reaction was to smell of egg. To even, when we went to Iraq and I saw watermelon, I thought it's meat. I thought these Muslim bastards, that's the meat. It's red and dripping with blood. Even now I can't eat watermelon, red watermelon. So I know. I am the most prejudiced person. But I'm also the person that Muslims will trust more from Pakistan, from Afghanistan. They will trust more. They will put their own sister in my small flat. They'll put their money, zar, zin और ज़मीन वो मेरे पास रखेंगे. क्यों? क्योंकि मैं हिंदू हूँ, मैं ब्राह्मण हूँ. And you can see that exquisite politeness and honor of vegetarians and like that. Actually, I eat everything. I don't give a damn. But I know, but when I go to these families who know me or have trusted me, and they've built me up into something special, and they have prepared the type of vegetarian food. It's superb. But actually, if you look at Turkish Ottoman food, the very best Ottoman layer food is not lamb. No, it's pure vegetarian. It's amazing, because I grew up. After I left home, I was just eating whatever I could get. But that vegetarian food, it has to be prepared properly, and it's just amazing. And if you try to make it at home, it's very difficult unless you know how. That's why you should get married to a nice boy who knows how to cook. See, I'm very liberal. I'm saying to you, boys, you get married to another boy. Or girls. Girls also. Why not? Anyway, I want to be very liberal, but I can't be. And the reason for that is that in game theory there is something called an uncorrelated asymmetry. Look it up. Robert Oman. Uncorrelated asymmetry. Pratap, Bhanu, Mehta didn't know about it. Why? Because he's a fool. He studied rubbish and he went on talking nonsense. Uncorrelated asymmetries exist because human beings are not identical. We are not atoms. Each belongs to an oikos, a family, and oikiosis is to integrate the different oikoses, the different senses of belonging. That is, in fact, the task of political theory. So, whether from the proper classical idea, the Western idea, which is about, that's which he would have learnt about if he'd gone to school in this country or a similar country. I went to a sort of school where they wanted to get more people into Oxbridge. That's how they measured their success. And I had a tutor who would come along and he'd tell me about oikos and oikiosis and ye and arete and techne and all that. See, Bhanu Mehta didn't get that stuff. He was basically, he's bright. He can pass exams. He can memorize and regurgitate nonsense. But he doesn't understand it because he doesn't understand the Western idea. I do. Because every time I wrote a line, my teacher, he was actually my history teacher, and he would underline it and he would explain to me how many logical errors I'd made. And after you might have spent 1 hour or 2 hours talking to me, but after that, every time I'd rewrite it. That's one thing I did. I'd rewrite things, and I did spend a lot of time studying maths. I'm shit at maths and studying logic, and I'm shit at learning languages. I did put in the time to understand, what Greek literature really was about, what Latin literature was really about. I put in the time. But, it wasn't until I read the Mahabharata properly. And of course, I needed help, But there is Robert Owen. He has found game theory in the Talmud. He is a Jew. He has illuminated Judaism. That's good. If you find a Hindu or a Jain who's illuminating Hinduism or Jainism or Sikhism, that's the way for you to go forward. I mentioned game theory and this and that because, of course, that's what I was taught when I was 17. But, I don't know what's important for you in your life. But remember this. You can't change what you belong to, where you come from. You can convert, yes. But you can only convert if you have genuinely accepted that your parents and their culture is evil, jahil, ignorant. It may be that is the case. I don't know. The attempt is being made to show Ashoka University, which is your alma mater, your second mother, to show that it is evil, that it is against liberalism, that it is pro-Modi, it wants to turn you into fascists. Is this true? You have to ask yourself. Now, if you want to change things for the better, definitely say, look, we would like instruction in Urdu. We would like a local mullah sahab to come and talk to us. And that's actually a very good thing. Because if you hear the local mullah, and I'm not joking, local mullah is smarter than you. He's a mullah. He actually knows Arabic. And Islam is beautiful. It's fantastic. Raja Ram Mohan Roy and all Niyogi Brahmins and Kayas and so on, they all went straight, they touched the feet of the local mullah, and that's why they learnt a little bit Arabic and Persian. Nothing wrong in that. Plenty of Muslims would come and touch feet of Panditji and learn Sanskrit and this or that. And for Tamil and other languages, whatever, which is called a parian, a pariah. In English they say, hey, you're a pariah. untouchable. How many Brahmins have touched feet to learn the absolutely pure and intricate Tamil of the Chen Tamil, and they are, So don't be stupid and ignorant. Don't be ignorant on your own self. And other thing is that if you've got parents, remember the messages of Vyada Gita. The Vyada, he's a butcher, but he has attained Madhu Vidya of Chandogya. But what does he do? He ignores the Pandit, he ignores the prince, he ignores politics. He lives in a beautiful, fantastic house, and he worships his mom and dad as his own God. He performs service to them. ये मूर्ति पूजा नहीं है, ये मम्मी डैडी की पूजा है. और ये इस किस्म की पूजा, this type of worship, it is there in Islam, it is there in it's not idolatry. Because when you look after your own parents as though they are God, when you look after baby, they looked after you as a baby, as though you, the baby avatar of Krishna, avatar of Prophet Muhammad, Rijat of Rasulullah, Islam, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Did they or did they not look after you like you are the baby Jesus Christ, or the baby Krishna, or Rijat of Holy Prophet as a baby? Did they or did they not do so? Is this idolatry? No. Because we're human beings. We know that mummy, daddy, baby, everybody will go to dust. But if we show godlike devotion, I don't mean similar to devotion to God, similar devotion to each other, nothing wrong with that. Because Creator created us. So how can we defeat, Pratap, Bhanu, Mehta has said, social justice in India is impossible because of caste system. No, caste system is nothing. Caste system just means family system. That's all it means. And when we have ocusis, when we have artha, that means economic and motivational, we see artha, earth and rita. These are rita and artha. Even in Zoroastrianism, you can see the parallel between these. There is no problem. Vasudeva Kutumbakam and all that, I know, yeah. Oy, boring. Uncle, why you are being so boring? I'll tell you why I'm being so boring. Because it's a very strange situation where some damn Ganchi, Narendra Modi, where Modi has written a book called Exam Warriors for children. And I am finding it more enlightening and more useful than any other book. How sad. I'm a Madrasi. For me, all you bloody North Indians, especially, not Gujaratis, but Hindi walas who try to impose Hindi on us, we hate you, don't we? Actually, we don't. But, I read that bloody book written for kids, and, the way that Modi talks, it's really adapted. Kids can understand him. There's no... But his message is right. That when young people say, "Mujhe ye banna hai," I want to be this, I want to be an officer, I want to be a professor, I want to be elite, I want to be wealthy. they get they destroy themselves. I also wanted to be a poet. And you can go on my website and you can see my poetry. It's rubbish. I like writing poetry, but it's rubbish because I can't be a poet. But I derive enjoyment from doing poetry. That's all. That's all that's needed. Karna. Banna nahi. Karna. But the best way to do something is to do it in a team, and you get that lovely feeling. It's the same feeling you get from kissing mommy and daddy, and teamwork. That's your second family. And this family and that family, all these families merge into one. Let me tell you, I'm old. And I'm as stupid as shit. Pratap, Bhanu, Mehta, bright. He never did bad actions. Very good man. Jain, Marwari, very good. But, he has let you down. He's let down students of Ashoka University for no reason at all, for a paranoid reason. It's sad. Don't follow that example.